On November 19th, 1987, Burlington launched its public transportation system called the People Mover, featuring 6 bus routes throughout the neighborhoods and businesses of Burlington. On December 31st, 2020, the B Line made its final voyage. BNEWS looks back at the tried and true legacy of the B Line.
It was really effective. So when it was in its prime, it went into different neighborhoods and would pick people up almost at their door or just a block away. So people were able to use it to go grocery shopping, to come to the senior center, to go to the mall, go to Leahy, whatever they needed it for, they used it for.
Many people advocated for it because it helped people in need. It helped people get from work or get to their doctor's appointments or things like that.
B-Line service thrived throughout the 90s with its many administrators and riders. A firm advocate of the B-Line was former Transportation Administrator Ellie O'Connell.
And with me is Marie Saya from Alcine Road, and she works at Leahy Clinic. And I understand you've been using the bus for the last few weeks, getting back and forth to work. Yes. How is it working out?
It's working out very well, Ellie.
And I understand from drivers that you've been taking the bus for a while, getting back and forth to the clinic from home.
Yes, and I find it as it being very convenient.
We were always fortunate because the MBTA had the 352 that ran through Burlington, so you'd get a subsidy from the state. So some of it would be privately donated with some of the companies around us. Some of it, of course, was through the tax dollar, and then some of it was the MBTA subsidy. This is one of those things in a community that really, it doesn't make sense dollar-wise, but it makes sense for the public good-wise, and that's why we always advocated for it.
I think it shows a community that cares about its people and wanting to make sure that there's adequate transportation for everybody and that everyone can get where they need to go. I think that it's too bad that it wasn't being used to its full potential toward the end.
And town meeting's been good to the B-Line.
All those in favor?
They really have. I mean, they've supported that. They've supported the people who needed it. Unfortunately, with COVID and everything else, the numbers were dwindling anyway, and what happens is when you got to a point where now nobody was really traveling, even the small few that we were helping were now not traveling out. And it started to become very clear that, even the Transportation Committee started to say, at some point you have to call it, and we held on as long as we could. Burlington really held on as long as it could.
It's been a slow death, really. Several years ago, they took the B-Line out of the neighborhood. At that point, people were unable to really use it. The older seniors that couldn't drive and really depended on it.
I think the biggest dilemma with it is every year as you'd look at it, you'd wonder if the money we were spending on it was worth the amount of people who were using it.
It was decided that we weren't going to renew the B-Line.
I heard more outrage from the non-senior population, but I certainly heard outrage from the senior population, from some of them. And I get it, but I think a lot of that was fear of using a new system.
Burlington's public transportation system has evolved to using the Vehicle for Hire service, Lyft. Contact the Council on Aging for details.
Many of them are now using the new system, and they seem very happy with it.
Again, Burlington being Burlington, I have always been proud of this fact. We take care of our own, right? And we take care of people who need it.
People shouldn't have to ask somebody for a ride. They should just be able to go when they need to go. And I think the new system answers that, and I think the B-Line answered that. But, I think it's also maybe it's idea whose time is past.
Town meeting did not turn its back completely on public transportation. They're giving another option. I think the community should be proud. I think we should be proud of what we've done.
The legacy of the B-Line marks a 33-year history of serving Burlington. We salute the efforts of the Burlington Transportation Committee, and we thank you. For BNews, I'm reporter Tad Stefanak.